Hey, and good morning. Welcome to the WSJM Morning Show. I'm Ken Lundberg. Got to get away for news in just a moment. We are looking for our guest, and I just talked to him on the phone, Kevin Whiteford. He's running for state representative for District 38, and he's running late. So we'll talk to him about it. It's coming up in just a moment right here on WSJM.
Probably. Has it been hard to set money aside? Always. Put your savings on autopilot with super-powered Thrive Savings. This free account turns cash rewards into automatic savings every month your linked Thrive checking account qualifications are met. Thrive Savings. It's our superpower. Visit Sturgis.bank to learn more. Qualifications, rules, and limitations apply. Rates, rewards, and restrictions may vary by account. Contact Sturgis Bank for details. Member FDIC.
From the Pat Moody Studios, this is News Talk Sports 94.9. WSJM FM Benton Harbor, St. Joseph. Depend on us. WSJM News now. Team coverage from the WSJM Newsroom on News Talk Sports 94.9 WSJM.
And good morning. Welcome to the WSJM Morning Show. I'm Ken Lundberg. We've got kind of rainy conditions out there right now. It's not too bad. It's cloudy. Roads are wet. You may be experiencing some rainfall today. 62 degrees is the temperature, and we're going to get some more rain before it's done today. The forecast for today, as we've been talking about, is a 70% chance of rain showers. Thunderstorms high around 70 degrees. East winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight's forecast, mostly cloudy and a 60% chance of showers or thunderstorms, a low around 58, north winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Wednesday, 20% chance of showers, becoming partly sunny, high around 73 degrees, northwest winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. The extended forecast, before we get to the news, is Thursday, mostly sunny. So that looks like it's going to be our best day of the working week so far. If you need to be outside and doing anything, Thursday, mostly sunny, high around 75 degrees, a low around 52. Friday, it's going to be partly sunny, 20% chance of showers, a high around 78. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, we're going to keep that chance of rainfall and some partly sunny skies. And the highs are probably going to be in the mid 70s and then maybe cooling off by the time we get to next week. Tigers had the day off yesterday. Today, they take on the Tampa Bay Rays, and there's been a time change for the game. If you're like me, you're very excited about what the Tigers are doing in this late season. They are a game ahead for the wild card, the third and final wild card spot, game ahead of the Minnesota Twins. But the game today was supposed to be at 6:40, but they moved it back because of weather. Because at Comerica Park, they're expecting inclement weather to be the worst at that time, so they've moved it up to 1:10 this afternoon. So again, due to the uncertainty surrounding the weather forecast on Tuesday, with a greater chance of inclement weather during the evening, Tuesday's game between the Detroit Tigers and Tampa Bay Rays at Comerica has been moved up to 1:10. On the off chance that you've got tickets to the game, they'll say they'll honor them today, as they should, or you can exchange them at any time for any future 2024 regular season game, which you've got about, what is that, 5 left after today? Anyway, all right, we've got more to talk about. We'll hit the news. We've got a guest who is running a couple minutes behind, Kevin Whiteford. He's a candidate for 38th District State House Representative. So we'll be welcoming him to the studio shortly, and we'll be talking to him about his candidacy. In the news that we're following today, between absentee ballots hitting mailboxes soon and the onset of early voting in October, voters will be making a lot of decisions for the November 5th election. When Berrien County voters make their decisions, they'll be casting ballots in more than just the presidential election, state and county races. There will be an assortment of ballot proposals. Niles Township voters, this is just a preview. Niles Township voters will decide if recreational marijuana should be allowed to operate in their community. The proposal will allow for 4 establishments. The marijuana establishments, if approved, would only be allowed to operate along 11th Street south of Fulkerson Road. Royalton Township will also consider allowing marijuana businesses. If approved, the proposal would allow for 3 growers, 3 processors, 3 micro businesses, and 3 retailers. There's a renewal of a City of New Buffalo Parks maintenance millage that will be on the ballot, along with the City of Niles Parks maintenance millage. St. Joseph Township voters will decide whether to renew a library millage, while fire millage renewals will be on the ballot in Three Oaks Township and Galeen Township. The Berrien Springs Community Library is seeking a new millage for 6 years. And as for school proposals, there will be an operating millage proposal on the ballot for New Buffalo area schools and St. Joseph Public Schools. St. Joseph Public Schools is also seeking a renewal of their Seeking Fund. South Haven has appointed a new interim police chief. Sergeant Patrick Carlotto will serve until a permanent replacement is named. Carlotto was appointed after former police chief Natalie Thompson announced her decision to retire. The sergeant said he's interested in becoming the permanent chief so he can continue his good works in the community.
Been part of the community and active with the community for a long time. South Haven is a nice city, and I have a vested interest of keeping it safe and secure.
The city is taking applications for the chief role until October 2nd. The interview and decision-making process is expected to be complete by the start of the new year. They say they could have that appointment probably in January or February. More construction work is set to take place this week in St. Joseph Township. Today, the Berrien County Road Department will close Lincoln Avenue between Niles and Maiden Lane for manhole and structural improvements. Weather permitting, work will be wrapped up Wednesday, although the weather's kind of today. The department's Adri Boone tells us if you have to be in the area, you should prepare for a longer route and some detours.
I would recommend the Washington to Maiden to avoid that whole area. If you are seeking local properties in that, you are still permitted into that work zone on Lincoln Avenue, just not the hard closure section.
In addition, the Lincoln Avenue and Glenlord Road intersection is closed for sewer and utility work. Boone says she anticipates the project should be complete by the middle of the week. Boone adds the county should be done with scheduled construction work overall for the year around mid to late November. So still a little bit more time for those orange blossoms of road construction to be there. And let's see, there's still time to celebrate Trails Week through Saturday of this weekend. Michigan has more than 13,000 miles of trails around the state, including nearly complete Iron Bell Trail that stretches all the way from Detroit to Ironwood in the Upper Peninsula. Heather DeRocker with the Michigan Department of Natural Resources says that there's this week, the Trails Week, provides a chance to explore new areas both near home and around the state.
It's really just another way to invite people to get out and explore their trails. And, maybe it's inviting a friend to join you on one of your favorite trails, or maybe it's trying to find a new to you trail right in your own community, or, maybe you want to make a day trip or explore, somewhere outside of your normal route.
There is information about the trails on the DNR's website. This may be Trails Week, but it's a good time to explore a trail anytime you want to get out and enjoy the outdoors. It's 7:12. We've got more news coming up in just a moment. It is the WSJM Morning Show. We anticipate starting our interview shortly with a candidate for state representative, District 38, Kevin Whiteford. He is en route to the studio as we speak this morning. A little bit of a communication issue here, but we'll talk a little bit about his candidacy for the 38th District State House. And he is a CPA, a business owner. He's part of the South Haven Downtown Development Authority. He ran this race in 2022, so we'll talk with him a little bit more this hour, and we expect him to arrive shortly right here on the WSJM Morning Show. 7:13, we've got sports coming up in just a moment right here. Stay tuned.
I want to learn how to cook, but I keep ordering takeout.
Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel will help you start having conversations in as little as 3 weeks. Words and phrases you'll actually use. So when someone asks,
"How's your French going?"
you can say,
Babbel facilite grandement l'apprentissage d'une nouvelle langue.
Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Monday in Major League Baseball, former Cub Kyle Schwarber and JT Realmuto homered, and Aaron Nola struck out 7 to help the Philadelphia Phillies clinch the first NL East.
And good morning. I love Bill's good morning. Oh, good morning and welcome again to the WSJM live stream. I'm Ken Lundberg. It is the WSJM Morning Show. And typically, Bill is one of our faithful, and he's here most every morning. And we appreciate you, Bill. And one of the things that he does is wishes people a good morning. And typically it's good morning, guys. Good morning, Ken and Brett. Good morning, whomever. And this morning, good morning, Ken. Good morning. It's good to see you. All right. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it. We've got a couple things to talk about here. I'll do a song and dance here while we wait for our guest to come in. I'm not sure. We'll explore what happened with when he arrives, which I expect him to hit the studios here in a few minutes. But the funny thing about that is I'll be talking on the radio. And then let's see. Can I do this? Oh, no, we're already in the weather. Okay. I can't do that. All right. I'll be right back. We got to figure this out. And good morning. Welcome to the WSJM Morning Show. I'm Ken Lundberg. Thanks for joining us and being part of it. We do expect in a few minutes to be able to welcome into the studios candidate for state representative for the 38th District State House, Kevin Whiteford. We got our wires crossed a little bit, and so I anticipate he'll be arriving here at the studio in just a couple of minutes, and we'll talk a little bit about him, who he is, his candidacy, and other things. And in the meanwhile, I'll tap dance, and we'll keep this thing going until he gets here. No, it's going to be fun. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about, including, and I'll jump off and have to go get the door when he gets here, by the way. But including this from Northern Michigan, and this just makes me shake my head, and thank goodness that I didn't get into more trouble as a youth. 2 juveniles were apprehended for allegedly vandalizing not one car, not 2 cars, not even 10 cars, but dozens of vehicles in the Sheboygan area. That's according to Michigan State Police. State Police said troopers and Sheboygan police officers had received reports of more than 70 vehicles, more than 70 automobiles being damaged by deflating tires, putting rocks in fuel tanks, damaging mirrors, and other forms of vandalism. State police also received reports of graffiti throughout Sheboygan, not just on the cars, but apparently on the walls as well, which is kind of weird. State police said troopers were able to identify one suspect from security camera footage, and the juveniles were eventually apprehended. That led them to apprehend the individuals, and they were charged as a result of the investigation. State police did not state what charges the juveniles are facing, but oh my goodness, can you imagine the cost of that? 70 vehicles damaged, vandalized? If they are able to, pin that vandalism on these individuals of more than 70 automobiles, you know what a car costs these days? I mean, that's expensive. Even if you can find somebody to do the auto body work on it, to like clean up scratches or whatever, because that's no easy feat in itself. That's going to run into a lot of money. I mean, 70, you can't get out of there by the, yeah. They're talking about hopefully some serious lessons being learned on that one. That's really unfortunate, but that's up in Sheboygan. This one also caught our ear, talking about some of the recycling issues. I think about this just about every time I take a full recycle can out to the recycle bin. You put in your paper, your recyclable plastic, it's recyclable because it has the little following arrows triangle on the thing. But you put stuff in the recycle. On recycle day, you make sure it's out. The recycle thing, it goes away. You think, I've done my part today. But there's always been that lurking feeling in the background of, okay, well, what if the recycling commodity prices aren't what they aren't what they should be, and it's cheaper to put stuff in the landfill than it is to recycle it? I mean, that's a business equation that's out there. Well, California has been thinking about that too, and they have now sued ExxonMobil. They filed this suit yesterday, alleging the oil giant has deceived the public for more than 50 years by promising that the plastics it produced would be recycled. Attorney General Rob Bonta's office said that Fewer than 5% of plastic is recycled into another plastic product in the United States, even though the items are labeled as recyclable. And as a result, landfills and oceans are filled with plastic waste, creating a global pollution crisis, while consumers diligently place plastic water bottles and other containers into recycling bins. That's what the lawsuit alleges. Buy as much as you want, no problem, it'll be recycled, they say. Lies, and they aim to make us feel less guilty about our waste if we recycle it. That's according to the Attorney General for California. Bonta, who is a Democrat, said at a virtual news conference that the end goal is to drive people to buy, and to drive ExxonMobil and their profits up. So that's very interesting. ExxonMobil, one of the world's largest producers of plastics, in turn blamed California for its flawed recycling system. They say for decades, California officials have known their recycling system is not effective. They failed to act, and now they seem to blame others. Instead of suing us, they could have worked with us to fix the problem and keep plastic out of the landfills. That was what Lauren Knight said, a spokesperson for ExxonMobil. Dozens of U.S. municipalities, as well as 8 states in the District of Columbia, Washington, D.C., have sued oil and gas companies in recent years over their role in climate change, according to the Center for Climate Integrity. Those are still making their way through the courts, including a lawsuit filed by California a year ago against some of the world's largest oil and gas companies, claiming they deceived the public about the risks of fossil fuels. The lawsuit announced on Monday stems from an investigation Bonta's office launched in April 2022 into the fossil fuel and petrochemical industries, which included issuing subpoenas that revealed previously hidden documents. The complaint alleges violations of California's nuisance and unfair competition laws and alleges ExxonMobil concealed the harms caused by plastics. It was filed just a day after the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, former presidential hopeful, signed into law a statewide ban on all plastic shopping bags at supermarkets. Now, looking for experts in this area, Notre Dame Law School professor Bruce Huber, who specializes in environmental, natural resources, and energy law, said the state faces an uphill battle in its suit against ExxonMobil, despite evidence that plastic manufacturers have not been forthright about the challenges of turning old plastic into new items. I mean, this is the thing. You think about it. You think about the resources required to recycle, and if only 5% of plastic that's been put in the recycle bin since time began has been recycled, that's a depressing thought. But think about the resources that it took to put all that in there. I mean, I think about the little blue cans with the little triangle of arrows on them. Those are plastic. Were they made from recycled plastic? Lately, ExxonMobil has been promoting advanced recycling or chemical recycling, saying that process will better turn old plastics into new products. Yeah. So anyway, California hopes to compel ExxonMobil to end its deceptive practices, what it calls its deceptive practices, and to secure an abatement fund and civil penalties for the harm that they have caused. Bonta, the Attorney General, said the contents of the lawsuit will stun many who have purchased products made from recycled materials and who have placed plastic products in those blue recycling bins. They say this is a revelation to many after years and years and years of belief that is untrue because they were lied to by ExxonMobil about the myth of recycling. It feels like there's something's going to turn on that one because, I mean, again, you think about, and even in some metropolitan areas, you have entire trash trucks, but they're not trash trucks, they're recycle trucks that are even sectioned off with the different kinds of recycling that they're picking up. So if you separate stuff into, glass and you've got your plastics, 1, 2, 3s, 4s, 5s, whatever the number system is, I don't know what it is. The resources to bring all that recycling to somewhere only to see it go nowhere, it's a little discouraging. Speaking about other things that are interesting, and by the way, we are eagerly anticipating an interview that we'll be having with a candidate for state house, 38th district, Kevin Whiteford. He's on his way. Says he'll be here in a few minutes, so we will start that interview when he arrives. But we'll talk about Yellowstone. There's the Morning Glory pool that we want to talk about. We'll get to that in just a moment, right here on the WSJM Morning Show. Okay, thanks for joining us on the WSJM Morning Show. It is so good to be here with you. Let's see. Teresa says, good morning, Bill and Ken. Good morning, Teresa. It's good to see you. Bill says, I still say put a price on plastic and it will disappear. Enter the recycling business. Steel price is down, and watch how much metal is being trucked into the scrap yards. Yeah. You ever go to a scrap yard? I love scrap yards. I love scrap yards for metal stuff. I am a very amateur welder from time to time. I'm not very good at it, but I really enjoy it. I do have one weld on one of my motorcycles that actually has held for a few years, so I feel good about that one. But it's not pretty. It's not pretty. But my point being that I went to the scrap yard, one of the local scrap yards here, to find some metals. I made the first thing I made with my welding kit was a welding table, which was fun because you're basically completing a circuit, and then and so you need metal to latch onto, and electricity. And then the second thing I did was to fix my motorbike. Fix it. I was modifying it a little bit. It wasn't broken, but we've got more coming up on the WSJM Morning Show. As I said, we're waiting for our candidate interview, and I had a good conversation when we booked this interview with Kevin. So I'm sure we'll laugh about this miscommunication here in a few minutes. But we'll talk about Yellowstone in a few moments. Have you ever been to Old Faithful? I've never been to Yellowstone National Park. I've driven by it twice. I'm sorry, I had someplace to be, so I drove by it twice. But that recycling story, I'm still thinking about that. You know, we've got the cans, you've got the time and effort to think about recycling and do recycling. You've got the cans where the recycling goes, not only in your house but on the trash, circuit. And then you think about if it actually has gone to different places, or where has it been? Has it just been going to the landfills? Because they don't have, maybe they do. Maybe they just have special places where the recycling stuff goes and waits until it gets recycled. But puts a whole new spin on the whole recycling emphasis. We've got Bloomberg. Our Market Minute is going to be coming up in a few minutes here, and we've got more news as well from ABC in our WSJM newsroom. And I've got the story about the Yellowstone Morning Glory pool. So we'll talk about that in a few minutes right here on WSJM. Thank you for tuning in.
Once you join in, so you're not just a number.
With Honors Benefits checking account, you'll earn 5.15% annual percentage yield on balances up to $10,000, plus a $250 bonus. Visit honorcu.com and come be part of it. Some qualifications apply. 0% APY bonus will be paid within 30 days of requirements being met. Minimum opening deposit of $25. Rate subject to change. Insured by NCUA.
Who do you call when you have the most unique towing job ever? Well, when the Neon Grill wanted to take down the classic Chevy from their roof for restoration, they called Hassey's Towing and Crane Service. They trusted Hassey's to handle it. Hassey's Towing and Crane Service has the area's largest fleet of tow vehicles and cranes to accomplish almost any lifting job. Got a unique tow or lift job? Call Hassey's Towing and Crane Service, 927-3681. Hassey's Towing, the trucks with the red, white, and blue.
News, talk, sports, 94.9 WSJM. Wherever you go, we're there. On your phone, your tablet, radio, smart device. Download the WSJM app and stream us live. Get local news, podcasts, entertainment, and you get special push notifications for breaking news. WSJM streaming is made possible by Lake Michigan College. Connect to your future. Visit lakemichigancollege.edu. Stay informed and stay tuned to 94.9 WSJM.
The Bloomberg Business Minute on WSJM is brought to you by Sturgis Bank and Trust. Let's grow together. Serving Berrien Branch, Kalamazoo, St. Joseph, and...
All right, we've got a moment here while the Bloomberg report runs. And Bill, you make me laugh out loud because you say you'd love to see Yellowstone Park before it erupts. Yeah. I mean, that is the gamble, right? Maybe that's why it's so popular, is because you can go there to see the on the hour, every hour, or whenever it is, the Old Faithful erupting. But you're probably talking about volcanoes and earthquakes and stuff like that. I will tell you, full disclosure, I've been through a volcanic eruption before, back when Mount St. Helens blew its lid in Washington State. That was fascinating. I mean, honestly, I was very young, but I do remember it. I remember it well. And school was canceled for the rest of the year because there was so much ash, and just that area of Washington State was not able to function normally while they cleared all the ash out of the area where everything was. And it turned midnight dark in the middle of the day. It was just very weird. Let's see. Oh, we've got to get back to our morning news program. I'll be right back.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. President Biden will be at the UN General Assembly today. His speech likely to touch on the conflicts in the Middle East and in Ukraine and in Sudan. The address coming amid heightened tensions between Israel and Lebanon.
Hezbollah hitting back after its deadliest day of fighting with Israel since 2006, with airstrikes that killed over 500 in southern Lebanon. The Iranian-backed militia firing over 120 rockets, targeting IDF military sites as deep as 25 miles from the border near the city of Haifa.
ABC's Jordana Miller in Jerusalem. Tropical storm John has struck Mexico's southern Pacific coast. Another tropical storm in the Gulf of Mexico expected to strengthen as it approaches Florida's Gulf Coast. 41 counties in Florida under a state of emergency. California is suing ExxonMobil, claiming for decades it misled the public about how easy it is to actually recycle the plastic it produces. This is ABC News.
WSJM News Now. Team coverage from the WSJM Newsroom on News Talk Sports 94.9 WSJM.
And good morning. Welcome to the WSJM Morning Show. I'm Ken Lundberg. We've got about 62 degrees outside. It's cloudy, some rainfall still happening. 62 in St. Joseph, 63 in South Haven, and 62 in Buchanan as well. We do have a cloudy sky, and that's going to be on tap for most of today, according to our weather forecasters. A 70% chance of showers continuing today. We might see a thunderstorm or two. High around 70. East winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight's forecast, mostly cloudy. A 60% chance of showers or thunderstorms. A low around 58, and north winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Wednesday, 20% chance of showers, becoming partly sunny, a high around 73, and northwest winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Some of the news that we're following from the WSJM newsroom today: the city of Benton Harbor is finding itself strapped for cash as it waits for the summer property taxes to start coming in. Speaking to City Personnel and Finance Committee this month, Plant Moran's Rhonda Hildebrand said water payments are up and some property tax money is trickling in, but for right now, things are tight. They're basically paying invoices as they receive them. The city's utility fund has been low for a few years now, ever since residents stopped paying their water bills during the lead pipe crisis. Now that issue has been resolved, and the city has begun requiring everyone to pay for their water again. Hildebrand said it's been working, and they have more than $430,000 collected for utilities. That's just August. They say during the lead crisis, the city repeatedly moved money from its general fund to the utility fund, but has since stopped doing that. Hildebrand says she's expecting the bulk of the summer property taxes to come in this month, which will replenish their accounts and put the city back into the green for now. There could be more bad news for Benton Harbor's Dial-A-Ride service. We'll have more on this story coming up at 8 o'clock this morning, but basically city leaders have gotten word that the service may be dropped from their insurance pool. Benton Harbor City Commissioner Ron Singleton, who sits on the Dial-A-Ride board, tells us the Michigan Transit Pool is considering dropping Dial-A-Ride's insurance due to the frequency of claims, crashes, and lawsuits. After waiting all weekend to find out what the MTP was going to do, because they were supposed to make a decision and announce it on Friday, Singleton was told yesterday a decision by the pool to drop Dial-A-Ride has been made. However, he later got word that could change and a final decision will be made by the MTP on Friday. So they basically kicked the can down the road for a week. If Dial-A-Ride's insurance is lost, then the service will have 2 months to find new coverage. Singleton told us on Friday that it's no secret that Dial-A-Ride has had some issues as a result of previous administration. However, he said the current board is working hard to get it back on track. Singleton says in Dial Ride's most recent triennial federal review, there were 9 findings compared to just 27 findings in the previous review. So they basically are saying, hey, the last review, we had 27 issues to deal with. This review, we've only got 9. We cut it by 2/3. Singleton says progress is clearly being made. Still, he says the board faces many challenges to trying to right the ship. And meanwhile, the Dial Ride board meeting is coming up tomorrow or tonight. Yeah, that's happening tonight. So we'll be reporting on that. And then finally, September is Sexual Health Awareness Month. The Berrien County Health Department is reminding people of the importance of getting tested for sexually transmitted infections. There's some disturbing trends and news in Berrien County. We'll talk about that. That's coming up in just a few moments right here on WSJM.
The Michigan News Network.
I'm Beth Fisher. A controversial resolution has passed in one Michigan county. The Livingston County Board of Commissioners unanimously passed a resolution to allow the sheriff's office to monitor all interactions with undocumented immigrants, including if those interactions happen as suspects, witnesses, or victims of crimes. This, despite many residents opposing the resolution, citing lack of resources for the sheriff's department and safety concerns for immigrants. Several civil rights and community groups have rallied against this decision. The Michigan Public Service Commission has released results of a public service audit on DTE and Consumers Energy, the state's 2 largest electric utilities. The report, conducted by an independent third party, aimed at getting to the root causes of lagging reliability and slow service restoration. They found Michigan is in the bottom 25% in the country for reliability. Tonight's Mega Millions, $62 million. I'm Beth Fisher for the Michigan News Network.
Have you lost Michigan Medicaid? At healthcare.gov, you can find a low-cost, quality health plan.
Do plans cover doctor visits?
What about emergency care?
And prescriptions?
All covered and more. Plus, with the new law, 4 out of 5 customers can find a plan for $10 or less per month with financial help. Healthcare.gov is here for you. Enroll today for coverage starting the
And good morning. Welcome to the WSJM Morning Show, the video live stream. We'll be back on the radio here in just a moment, but we've got in our studio Kevin Whiteford.
Hello. How you doing there?
I'm well. How are you doing?
Doing great. Doing great.
All right. So you are running for timekeeper of the state of Michigan. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
Our wires crossed.
Yes.
Somehow, but you're gracious enough to make a change and adjust.
Yes.
So we appreciate your flexibility.
Yeah, I'm going to do what I can, right? My campaign is 24/7 every day.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I'm up. I usually get up at about 5:30.
Yeah, good.
Last night, I got to bed at about 11:30.
Oh, my gosh. Did you really?
Oh, yeah. Every night.
Yeah.
I got back from the doors at about 10:30, 10:15.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a late night. Got stuck with somebody and just ended up talking to him.
When you go outdoor, we'll talk. We'll take a couple of steps back and we'll introduce you to those who don't know you in just a moment. But when you go out, I mean, that's a key part of a campaign is the door knocking. Is it still?
Oh yeah.
And when you do that, I mean, what is that experience like?
Honestly, it's my favorite part of the campaign.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's dangerous. It can be.
I would guess so.
Because I do have on my agenda to knock on every door, whether, all registered voters. And even if they got a competitor's sign in their yard, I will still knock on that door.
Okay.
Now, the cool thing about it is, and I think it's important for any candidate to do it, period. And that is, how do you reach your voters? That's really the only way.
Yeah.
And what's neat about it is, I have actually done tens of thousands of doors.
Wow.
When you do that, you really know what the average person thinks. Now, what's interesting, and I say average, wow. If you look at the district, so I'm doing a 38 district, which is Saugatuck Township, all the way down to New Buffalo.
Yeah.
And that's people along the lakeshore in their $10 million homes. And that's people on the outskirts, just maybe a mile in, right? And busting their butt off, working 2 jobs because of the economy. And working hard and trying to figure out how to make ends meet. So you have A to Z in this. And, one of the things I found, and I said it to Adore yesterday a couple of times, is honestly, I'm overwhelmed by the kindness and the reactions by people, even with opposite views. And I do get a screamer here and there. So you'll get maybe two of those. I do about 130 to 140 doors a day.
Oh, wow.
And so you may get three people, right, that say, hey, this is it. So there's that 3% or 4%.
Okay.
And when they're screaming at you, you're like, I'm not screaming. I'm just talking to you. And that's the anger that both sides have created, both the right and the left. And I think one of the key things I'm going to do for sure is work with both sides. And I haven't seen that happen in years, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when the Democrats right now control the House, there's no really interaction with the right side. And when the right side had it, I think there was very little
interaction on the other side. Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to introduce you and bring you on the radio here. So hang on just a moment. We're talking with Kevin Whiteford. He's a candidate for the 38th District for the State House. We'll be right back.
To support our members and strengthen our region's business climate. From economic and business development to leadership and community initiatives, we've got you covered. Be part of a community that cares. Visit smrchamber.com and let's build a thriving business together.
Cloudy skies with rain showers today. A few thunderstorms also possible. Temperatures most of today will be in the 60s. We'll top out right at 70. Mostly cloudy still tonight with scattered showers. We drop down to 58, and scattered showers tomorrow becoming a little bit partly sunny in the afternoon. High temperature still around 70. I'm WSBT 22 Chief Meteorologist Carrie Peugeot.
The Morning Show with Ken Lundberg on WSJM.
All right, it's the WSJM Morning Show. Good morning. 7:41. Feels good to be back on track. Mm-hmm. We are talking now with Kevin Whiteford, who is a candidate for the 38th District State House race. He's running against Joey Andrews, the incumbent. And we wanted to take some time this morning and just understand who you are and let you air out some of the issues that you think are important in the race. We might ask a couple questions here and there, but we're going to condense this interview. We're going to do it because I know you've got to be other places, but let's get right to it. For those people who don't know you and why you're running for State House District number 38, tell us a little bit about who is Kevin Whiteford.
Okay. So I am a CPA. I will be the only CPA in the House and Senate in Lansing.
There's no CPA in there right now?
Other CPA. Yeah.
Who's doing their accounting?
Yeah.
All right.
And so I also have a master's in tax law. I have done taxes in 50 states and 33 countries. I have done business, of course, then in those jurisdictions. So I understand business, finance. I have my financial investment licenses as a financial advisor. So right now, our businesses centers around real estate and financial advising. Those two businesses are primarily run and operated by my kids, which is a very cool thing. So I have 3 kids and their spouses, and then 5 grandkids in South Haven, and they help run the businesses. One of the cool things about it is you asked, absolutely. First of all, I don't need the job or the money. And I think it's obvious. People know that. They see it. They feel it. And I don't. I have worked my tail off my entire life to get into the position that I'm at. I started from nothing. Basically grew up on the streets playing basketball. And my 3 mentors are 3 Catholic priests, believe it or not. I'm very faithful. And so I want to bring faith back in. I want to basically, I am stepping into a position that is so ideal to me because the number one problem when you talk to people, and you see it around everywhere, is economics. People are suffering. And what is interesting is that the people on the lakeshore who are not suffering, let's say, they're very upset about it. And the reason they are similar to me. they really do care about their kids and grandkids and their future, and they see the economic turmoil on their kids. And my opinion is number one is economics, and we have to go after that. And so I will work on that. I think one of the proven bipartisan things that I'm going to address right off the bat is going to be the income tax. The state of Michigan has raised their budget by $23 billion. It's gone from $60 billion to $83 just within the last few years. And the population of the state of Michigan is down. Now, these are the things that I am going to know because I'm a numbers guy and a money guy. So those things are just so natural to me, and I'll see those and I'll feel that. Now, so because the budget has gone up $23 billion and the population is down, and the income tax, by the way, that is drawn in is about $13 billion, we need to give that money back to the people. One of the economic things that we know is that if I give $100 back into the pockets of the people, and they spend it in their local jurisdiction, which is the best thing to do, it multiplies by 7. My opinion is if we give $100 to Lansing, I believe it's going into a black hole, and I don't think anybody's seeing it. And so that's kind of where I'm at on that, and I think that's sad. Now, if you see my upbringing, I told you I grew up in the streets basically playing basketball, and, no fault to my father. My father was a bricklayer, worked his butt off. And we had 5 kids in the household of a 3-bedroom house, 1 bath. I just had 2 older brothers that were pretty messed up, and that created a massive problem in the household. And I didn't want anything to do with it, so therefore I was never home. But that gives me the passion of kids. I care about kids all the time. And the mental health problems that we have with kids. That's why I was blown away by the current legislation when they got rid of $300 million for mental health and security for the schools. Mental health is, in my opinion, one of the number one problems for the young people, because we have to learn and we have to understand how to fix it at a very young age. Now, my wife, and a lot of people do, Mary Whiteford, she's a healthcare nut, and she knows it like crazy. And we know that adults in the prisons, most of them had a childhood trauma or a childhood problem that created their issues, and they lingered for years, and therefore they got into trouble. If we could catch it at a kindergarten or first grade level, which is what they were trying to do when they had mental health workers in our schools, that's just such a great idea. That was taken away. Those are things that should not be, as a Republican, that's what I am. A Republican, I'm going to go after mental health. I'm going to go after those things that are very important and dear. And that's going to be, the kids are our future people. We need to make sure that they're ready and able for the future.
Would you extend that mental health treatment for adults that are facing the situation of either incarceration or perhaps they need their mental health treated?
Yeah, I mean, we absolutely, because unfortunately, right, that's more expensive because they're older and it's lingered and it's probably much worse, right? So you have to spend more time and more money to fix that. But we absolutely have to fix it. I have said this for years. Mental health is like a common cold, and we have never treated it as a sickness, right? I mean, we do, we don't, but when it comes to health insurance and it comes to those things, we're always battling. Well, let's treat it like a common cold, people. Yeah. It is an issue, and it needs to be addressed. So yeah, I would say both of those, not only the young, but the adults should be treated.
Because talking with law enforcement, I mean, a lot of the people that you see incarcerated today, they're there because there was an incident, and sometimes a violent physical incident. But what led up to that was the lack of perhaps a mental health diagnosis or treatment or both. And unfortunately today they're just going to remain incarcerated as opposed to getting the help. And eventually when they get out, then you still have that cycle repeating itself.
And, some of those things you see as a kid, I can tell you that's why I don't want to spend too much time on COVID, but I understood COVID. When the kids were shut into their homes and taken away from the schools and churches and places that were safe. I always wanted to be at school. I always wanted to be at church. I wanted to be on the playground. I wanted to be somewhere else other than the home. And if kids got shoved back at their homes, what did we do during COVID? We created a heck of a lot more mental health problems. Absolutely. I personally, I can tell you this: I would have been on the streets. It would have been safer, funner, and I would have been on the streets for sure. I don't know how many kids were because of that. But I just know that probably was a reality.
We're talking with Kevin Whiteford. He's a candidate for 38th District State House Representative. He's a CPA, a business owner. You're also, am I right? You're a member of the South Haven Downtown Development Authority?
I was on the DDA.
Okay.
I got off. I was on there for 6 years. I did my term.
Oh, you did your time there. Now you're done.
Yeah, and I try to get the kids involved in some of those things, and they are. And when I say kids, by the way, I also have a nephew that lives in St. Joe.
Yeah.
He's in the finance business, but everybody's involved in some chamber or another, some charity or another. We are very charitable. So we try to get involved in the social areas of the communities, right? And so we are very involved, I would say, in Allegan, Van Buren, and Berrien County, which is my district. And by the way, we always have been. Even before I ran. But
yeah, you first ran for this office in 2022. You lost that race to current state representative Joey Andrews in a turn. Nobody really saw that one coming, where the party would lose one in that race. What happened there, and what's going to be different now?
Well, I'll tell you, they did see it. Unfortunately, the reason I say that is the Republican Party, nobody put any resources into my race. I basically spent all the time and all my money and raised all the money that I could to win that race. The top of the ticket lost by almost 14%.
Yeah.
I mean,
you say that,
and I lost by a little over 1 or 2%. And so the bottom line is, 1,000 votes. That's what I lost by. And we got to look back at that and say, I busted my butt off for that because I overcame such a gap. The top of the ticket dragging me into an area that I just didn't want to go. The difference is what? I have gone and knocked on so many doors in areas that I was told never to go to. Those are the opponent doors. Those are Democrat areas. And that is where I told you in the beginning, I'm blown away by the fact that my reception in those areas. Yesterday, I did about 130 to 140 doors in Benton Harbor. And I'm knocking. One of the interesting things is what? Almost 100% of those doors, people say nobody has ever knocked on their door. Nobody ever knocked. They might drop literature, but they never knock and talk to me. I had a guy, nobody has ever talked to me like you. I really appreciate that. I believe the other side has taken it for granted. And I think our side said, too crazy. We're not going to do it. I think it's wrong. I mean, we got to figure out how to bridge the gap between the two parties, right? And that's what everybody wants. I mean, they want that. They want the economy fixed. That's for sure.
Yeah. How do you do that? How do you bridge the gap between the two parties?
You talk to them. It's easy. I'm a success.
Is compromise a dirty word?
No. Successful business people understand how to work with everybody. Now, what's interesting, and I've said it many, many times in the past, a businessman like me, if I run into, I would say, far left and far right people in the business world, I don't deal with them. Why? They're liability risks. In politics, I'm going to do the same thing. They're creating all the noise. There's 1 to 2% of the people out there that are just yelling and shouting, saying these are the things that people think are important, and they're not. The average person says that's not important to me. It is sitting down in a room to discuss why is lowering the income tax important to people. That's basically a Republican issue, but it isn't. It's an all-person issue. When you put money down in the pockets of the people, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, they're going to be better off. The other thing is the economy around them is going to be better off because, like I said, they're going to spend it in the economy that they live in, and therefore that economy around them is going to benefit. And that's why it's a double positive. If we take it out of the hands of the government, which I think is wasting our money at this time they are, and put it in the hands of the people, they're going to spend it and it's going to be multiplied. And so we just really need to do that. I'll tell you this, I fill up my car every other day. I have seen kids come in, and I talked to people yesterday. I said this to somebody yesterday, and I said, I saw a kid put in $5 into the tank. That's all they have. That is constant, by the way. And a woman yesterday said, yeah, that's all I had today. I just put $5 in. I don't know how long that's going to last, but that's all I had.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? God bless you.
We'll continue this interview in just a moment. Kevin Whiteford, he's a candidate for 38th District State House Representatives. And you mentioned waste. I want to ask you where the waste is, where you see it, where you'll get at it in Lansing if you're elected, and then some of your priorities. We'll talk about that in just a moment right here on the WSJM Morning Show.
It's time once again to find the most deserving women in need of recognition in our communities with Moody on the Market's Bold Women of Business Awards, presented by the Southwest Michigan Regional Chamber, Silver Beach Pizza, the Inn at Harbor Shores, Insurance Management Service, and Sturgis Bank, with support from the Mason Jar Cafe and New Heights Auto Service. I'm Awards Director Zach East. Right now at moodyonthemarket.com, we invite you to nominate a woman in Berrien, Cass, or Van Buren County that you know in business, volunteer, or nonprofit work making a difference in Michigan's Great Southwest. Tell us how this female figure is.
Good question.
All right. One of the things, so when I first talked to you, I went to your website to say, okay, well, I'm going to look for Kevin Whiteford's contact information because we hadn't met before. And I looked on your website and there was a phone number right there. And it's like, oh, I'll just try this. And you picked up.
People
you
are
put
shocked.
your phone number on your website. Who does that anymore?
People are shocked.
You know what's on the website, right?
Yes. I had somebody call me at 1 a.m. This happened 5 days ago now. It's why did I pick up? Well, I was walking around 1 a.m. Somebody rang, and I do love to answer the phone, no matter, and I don't do it all the time, which, of course I let it go to message, right?
Yeah.
It's a 212 or 202.
202. Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, I can't do that. But I did answer it. What was weird about it 5 days ago, this woman just started shouting at the top of her lungs.
Oh my goodness.
And she did. She shouted for about 10 minutes, asked me about 5 questions.
Yeah.
And after the 5th question, I was talking to her like this. And I said, just so you know, miss, I've spent 10 minutes on the phone with you, which is unbelievably gracious for 2 reasons. 1, it's 1 a.m. And 2, you're yelling and screaming at me. Now, I'm going to tell you this, and I want you to know this, and I want you to listen very hard. You will never, ever have space in my room in Lansing. The reason you won't, I don't want people who are yelling and screaming at me in Lansing. I need to get issues settled and solved. And if you want to be on the left side of the fence, that's fine, but don't come in screaming. But I will listen. So to go back to your question, you have to sit down. I really think sitting down with somebody, I'll give you another one. This woman answered the door.
30 seconds.
And she goes, I don't believe in God. And I said, well, you know what? I don't have to understand that, but you have a constitutional right to say that. And me, I do. I want the same right, the same constitutional right to believe in God and Jesus Christ. As long as I get that same enthusiasm, I'd like that. She goes, I could do that. I said, good. That's a civil conversation.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We're talking with Kevin Whiteford on the video live stream. We'll rejoin the radio program and get some closing comments in just a moment right here on WSJM.
IMS is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance.
The Morning Show with Ken Lundberg on WSJM.
Sorry, it's a fast-moving show. That's what we do. All right, we've got a couple minutes left, and unfortunately, I wish we had more time this morning, Kevin. But give your closing statement of why you want people to vote for you, and could you include in that, for just a moment, I'm going to go run and grab the door, but include in that, what do you see as waste in Lansing?
Okay. Well,
I'll be right back. I got to grab the door, but
absolutely, you got to get somebody who can work with both sides of the fence. I have proven beyond any doubt that I can do that in an incredible way. I will make people come together. If we have to get both sides together, because then you'll get real issues solved and you'll get really real things done. Waste, absolutely. There's no way I'm going to be for government giving $700 million to a Chinese company to do business in Big Rapids. Absolutely not. There's no way you're going to give money away to a foreign entity who's going to take our money and take it out of this country. And we'll never see the benefit back here, except for their progress. We need to use U.S. companies, U.S. sources to get things done.
You
So
know-
that was a waste.
Yeah. Thanks for taking the radio here for a moment while I went and grabbed the front door. But final words when people go into that ballot, into the booth on November 5th, or fill out their ballot, which is going to be delivered probably by the weekend.
Cross the line if you feel that that's what you talk about. I got a lot of people doing that. Kevin Whiteford for the State House seat, 38th District, November 5th. I have a lot of support on both sides. If you look around, you'll see my yard sign with Democrat signs, and you'll see my sign with Republican signs. So thank you for your time today.
All right, Kevin Whiteford, he's running for 38th District State House. We'll wrap up this interview on the live stream in a moment, right here on WSJM.
From ABC News, I'm Sherry.
Kevin, I promised you an opportunity to talk about your priorities for the State House. But first, waste. Where do you see waste in state government right now? Just give us an example.
The example is when the government gave away $700 million to a company overseas.
Talking about the batteries?
Yeah. There's no way. That's using my money. And people in government have to understand that when they do spend money and give money away, they're using the taxpayer, the people here, their money.
Okay, priorities.
Yeah. And by the way, so they got rid of $300 million, right? That was going to mental health. If you look at it, how do you give $700 million to a Chinese company and forego $670 million to the Teachers Pensions Fund to keep that going? And then the second thing is the mental health and security in the schools. I mean, geez, that's a bad switch, in my opinion, of money.
Quick position on the tipped wage issue. You think Lansing is going to get it done, and what should they do?
I think it's sad. When you look at passing something anywhere that has the chance of eliminating 60,000 jobs, which is the number. And that's not a fallacy. That's crazy. There's no way I'm going to vote or support anything that is going to hinder the jobs of the average person out there. And those people, let's face it, 60,000 jobs, that's going to be Democrats and Republicans. I mean, people don't want that tip income to change. That's a big thing. And when something like that changes, the courts that made that decision, I believe that was illegal too, by the way. I don't think that was a proper decision. And I have a master's in tax law. I've taught tax law for 6 years at a major university. I understand court cases. I understand law. The interpretation of what happened there on that tip thing was just horrendous, and I don't think it was proper. Now, because that happened, I think legislators' job is to reverse it because of the impact on the tens of thousands of people in our state. Just terrible.
Okay. All right. Kevin Whiteford, thanks for coming in today. We appreciate you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
You bet.
At ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, you can forget your frustrations because we find the right people